Hello, it's Mo, back in Matthew's Friends Keto Kitchen on the cooking channel, and Purple Day is fast approaching, so I thought I'd just give you an idea of what you can do for Purple Day, and good old cupcakes never fail. You can use your favourite cupcake recipe. There's many for all the different ratios, but today I'm doing one that is for the 4:1 classical. So it's a basic recipe and anyone in the family can eat this. There's no products in it. So we will start with coconut powder. So just make sure it's all out. And then we have just a little corn flour. This helps to make it nice and light and more like a cupcake. You can, if you wanted to, you could grind the coconut powder to be a little bit finer. So that's all out. Now to that I'm going to put 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoonful of bar cap baking powder, help with the rise. Just a little bit, it does help. But of course it must be bar cat or other brands, of course, you can get that you can use, but not a normal household baking powder. Now just give that a bit of a mix around just to make sure the baking powder and the corn flour gets into the coconut. And then I've got butter, and this is nice and soft. If you've forgotten to get it out to make it soft, then just give it a quick whiz in the microwave to soften it up. Makes life a lot easier. Get it all out. And just work that in. You can see how lovely and soft that is. Of course, if you're batching up on this, which for Purple Day you probably will, you can do it with a food mixer, even better. So just scrape off the spatula. Make sure you've got all the butter getting worked in. And when you think that that's gone in as much as it can, you can add the next ingredient, which is egg. Again, scrape your bowl out, get all the egg, it's all precious, and it's nice and clean. The next thing we're going to add is good old Hermesitas. And a good squirt. Make them as sweet as you like, it's down to your taste. And then just work that in. Looks like any other cake mixture, which of course it is just a straightforward coconut cupcake mixture. If you're on a different ratio and you don't want coconut, of course you can make them with almonds. Cupcakes are lovely made with almonds. Ground almonds, of course. Now you can see that that is a nice creamy texture. Again, scrape down, just make sure you've got it all. Now you can see the blueberries there, I haven't forgotten them. I'll show you what I'm going to do with those. And you get your muffin tins, and these are my favourites for when I'm just doing a couple. Of course you would use a larger, maybe silicone one if you're going to batch up. Now these are well greasy, they should be okay. to go straight in this pot. And I'm making 2 so that you've got 2 snacks. Now if you're doing this, of course, you will weigh this. You'll weigh that mixture and divide it equally. So you can see it doesn't look very big, but it makes a fairly good sized cupcake. Just spread it out, get the top as flat as you can. Likewise with that one. Need a finger now. It's going to be cooked, so it's all right, just to make sure you get the last bit off the spatula. Now the blueberries, I've chosen to use blueberries in this recipe because it's Purple Day. And when you put these in the cake, you just pop them on the top. Again, you'll weigh them and get equal amounts in each one. And when they cook, the blueberries will burst and make the cake nice and purple inside. Well, I prefer that to actually putting a food colouring in, because I don't find food colourings, especially the natural ones that we use these days, they're not as strong as they used to be. So a cake mixture, you have to use quite a lot of it to get the colour to come through on the cake. And the blueberries will just burst in and you'll land up with a cake with a nice purple effect inside, and it's nice to have the blueberry anyway. Now you can see I've got 6 there, so we'll put 3 in each, and as I say, they will be weighed. There's 2 fat ones in there, so I'm going to put a smaller one in there. And you literally just leave them on the top and the cake will rise round them and they'll sink, and as I say, they will burst and make a nice purple cake. And they're going to go in the oven. They'll cook very quickly, probably 12 to 15 minutes. Check them after 12 minutes, they may need a little bit longer. And then when they're done, you can get them out to cool and I'll show you what else we can do with them. Right, so some time has now passed, the cakes are cooked and they're ready to be decorated. I'd just like to show you what I meant about the blueberry. That's gone throughout the cake, so it makes a nice purple inside, and of course it's nice to eat. It's nice and moist with the coconut. And I'm going to use butter icing today, and I'm going to be using unsalted butter. I think that makes a creamier butter icing. So I've got a nice big piece of unsalted butter there, which is nice and soft. And in here I've got 10 grams of the Natvia icing mix. This is lovely because it's so fine, it really is like icing sugar. If you compared the two side by side, you would detect a difference, of course, but this is really, really good, and it's far better than the granules that you can get because they don't really dissolve in the butter, but this does. So you just add that in. Make sure you get it all out. Now I'm just going to work that into the butter because I'm eventually going to use the electric mixer. But if you work the icing into the butter a little first, you're not going to have it flying around the room quite so much. And at the mixer stage, I'll be adding some colouring. Now I'm going to get the purple colour and add a fair amount. I've got some more. And just give that a stir in. Oh, that's not too bad, look, it's going. But of course, once it gets into the butter, it will get paler. Now, when I think that it's strong enough, I think I'll settle for that, because I think that that is a fairly good colour. Now, if you didn't want to whisk it with an electric whisk, you could just use it as it is and just pop it on your cakes. But I'm going to take my life in my hands and try and pipe it for you today. So that might be fun. Right, so I'm going to get my whisk, which I've got ready here, and I'm going to make a noise. I think that will do it. As you can see, it looks a lot creamier now, not quite so solid as it was when you were just mixing it with, or when I was just mixing it with the spatula. Now we've got the job of getting this off. Now you'll notice that I'm not going to try for every bit, because it's I didn't weigh this to a particular amount. I'll show you how I'm going to arrive at the amount you're going to use in a moment. Right, so I think that's as much as I can get off there. Just ease it down off the sides. And I've got a piping bag. Turn down the edges. Spoon, and just scrape it off the spoon into there. Don't overfill it. If you do, it just all squeezes out the top. Just ease it down till it gets into the working area, which you give it a squeeze. There we go, so that's ready to go. So we'll clear the decks a bit. Now I've got some paper cases here. It'd be nice if you can get some purple ones for Purple Day, but I've got rainbow ones for Matthew's friends, which I think you'll agree are very nice. Now, don't cook in these. We advise you not to actually cook in the cases, because they do absorb grease, which means you're going to lose some of the fat from the cake, and occasionally they can stick, so you may lose some cake as well. So we say cook them in the moulds of your choice, and then simply, when they're cold, put them in the case. Now I'm going to put this on the scale. I'm going to turn my scale on. And weigh the cake, and it's 39 grams. Then I'm going to have a go at decorating it. Don't want to overdo it because this is all butter, but that's quite pretty. Now back on the scale, there's 15 grams of fat on there, so that's what you will have to add into your ratio. You may find another way of doing this, leaving some fat out of the cake. That's another way of doing it, but we do like to get the fat into the main ingredient. And then of course the choice is yours as to how much fat you actually put on the top. You could get away with less than that, but just for this, I think you'll find that looks not very professional, but pretty enough for Purple Day.